So I'll start by telling you my horror story about mums. This must have been the fall of 2003, 4. I think I was 16 years old, and it was homecoming, which, of course, the biggest football game of the year if you're the kind of team that maybe isn't going to go to the playoffs. Anyway, it's a big game. The town is excited about it usually, and I'm not a big, I don't know, I'm not like a fanatic. I'm not a joiner. But, I like a good tradition. I enjoy fun, creative ways of expressing, school pride, local pride, things like that. So imagine my chagrin when we got to homecoming, and my girlfriend is really mad at me. And it turns out it's because I did not get her a mum. Now, it's not like I was unaware of mums. Obviously, I grew up seeing them all the time, everywhere. In fact, as I was growing up from the 80s into the 90s and then going into high school in the 2000s, I saw mums evolve. I saw mums become ever more popular, ever more excessive, ever more accessible, in the sense that you could go to any like Dollar General, you could go to the H-E-B, you could go to Walmart and buy all the trinkets and bits and bobs and ribbons and things for a mum. But I always thought that girls made these themselves. Like, they made their own mums. It was a personal expression, and so they wore their cool mum. I didn't know I was supposed to get her a mum. Anyway, I live with that shame to this very day, because mums are a huge part of the Texas high school going experience, at least if you're a certain kind of high school goer. Okay, so let's backtrack and lay a little groundwork here, besides that I'm an idiot. A mum is a tradition in Texas high schools of creating a large decorative sort of flower. It's not really a flower. It kind of looks like a flower, but it's made out of like ribbon and other similar materials that you wear, and has long trailing ribbons, and you can append lots of trinkets to it, often like bells or cowbells and little plastic symbols that, like have your mascot on it, things that say like senior or whatever. You get the idea. Anyway, people go all out for these things. There's been a lot of media coverage over the last few years of this extremely prominent Texas tradition, but it turns out it's not from Texas? So the New York Times ran like a style piece on this a couple years back. Let's double check here. A couple years back? Yeah, a couple years back, September of 2023, in fact. It has some beautiful photography, link in the description. Go check it out if you have a Times account, or maybe I can make the link accessible. I'll do my best. Tracing the history of these things is a little weird, but let's just establish again what they are. They are something you wear for homecoming, for the homecoming game, the homecoming court. They're gonna have their big mums on. There is a male version of the mum. It's called a garter, because you have a garter belt around your arm. It's a smaller mum. But the root of this tradition is unclear. A story in Texas Highways magazine says it comes originally from Missouri. And the Times confirms that Missouri is among the states, as well as Texas, that claim the origin of this tradition. I have no problem believing that this is not unique to Texas, but I also have no problem believing that Texas took this to another level. This hits on something, by the way, I hope we'll cover more on this channel. So if you find that interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends, and share the video, and leave a comment. Actually, leave a comment, if you want that kind of thing. Anyway, the idea is that Texas is not actually exceptional among the U.S. states, but in fact, it is the most American. It like embodies all the trends and ideas and virtues and vices of whatever the American character is, but to like an absurdly exaggerated degree. In fact, there was this guy, I think he was an author for the New Yorker, Bainbridge, I think was his name, Bainbridge? Put it on the screen, future Andrew. Anyway, he wrote this book called The Super Americans, which I've only read parts of, but I'm really fascinated by that thesis that Texas is not different than the rest of the U.S. It's just like cooler. It's like more exaggerated. It's America on steroids. So no wonder we would take a tradition which dates back to giving a chrysanthemum to your sweetheart for the homecoming dance that, she would pin. It's a corsage, or are those called corsages? Yeah. Anyway, you get it? It's a flower. It's just a flower you would pin to your dress for the homecoming dance. But high schoolers and Texans, and those two dynamics are going to mean they're going to want to do everything to the extreme. And so they do. In fact, that Texas Highways article even lays out a little bit of a regional taxonomy of mums in Texas. In North Texas, you're going to get really big mums. They have like these neck straps that go around the back, and they're going to have like standard school colors, but they're going to be like extra, extra big. In fact, the New York Times article is a good illustration of this because their photography is in North Texas, and you can see that style of mum. They are huge. In fact, I think the author describes them as body armor. In South Texas, on the Gulf Coast, and in Central and East Texas, you'll get more traditional mums, a little bit smaller, maybe like down to the waist or shorter. In West Texas, they're a little bit smaller too, and they're described as being trinket heavy, which sounds fun. I can only imagine like the Homecoming Friday, just the noise in the hallway. And in Houston, that state within a state, they also go big like up in North Texas, but they're more prone to using non-traditional, non-school colors, being a little more creative with it. Leave it to DFW in Houston to just be completely extra. That's not a knock. I love it. Aww. So how long has this been going on? Well, it's kind of hard to tell, but it seems since at least the early 20th century. I've got a book I've been going through that is from, I think, the 80s, but it's got a lot of photos from like the 70s, and there were certainly mums going on then. I'm willing to believe that they've probably been around for about 100 years, but got really popular maybe like in the late 20th century, right? Especially when it becomes a lot easier to get like mass-produced trinkets and polyester ribbons. Amy J. Schultz is the author of a book called Momentous. Get it? Momentous. And she notes that after World War II, the adding of the long school color ribbons to the chrysanthemum flower became much more popular. And I could see that. There's, this new space age materials, and they're becoming more accessible to people, more available. The war's over. You don't have to like save your nylons or whatever. And I can also imagine charting a course along with the growth of high school football in Texas, its popularity, its importance, and the money put into it. You probably see the growth of other spirit activities and organizations, right? We could talk about dance teams, which is a pretty fascinating thing in the whole culture of Texas high school sports competition and football. Cheer squads, obviously, I think Texas is probably pretty up there in terms of the cheer squads it produces, both the more traditional kind and the kind where they're doing all the crazy acrobatics. And marching band is another great example. As a marching band guy myself, I'm sure you'll be shocked to learn that. I think that also is kind of a big deal in Texas. If you are a high school with a big football program, you're probably going to have a big and powerful band program that competes on a national scale. And so I could imagine the growth of mums pretty much charts along with that growth of the whole school spirit industrial complex. Anyway, that's just a short discussion of mums because I was thinking about it today. It's homecoming season. It's Friday. Even if you don't have a team and you're thinking, whoa, that's crazy, get yourself some ribbon, some hot glue, get mummified. If you're going out to watch some football, I hope you enjoy it. Get some mustard up on that sausage wrap and crack open an ice cold Dr. Pepper and, let her rip and have a good time. And yeah, that's it. All right, y'all. Go Bears. Oh, and don't forget to get your girlfriend a mum. All right. Adios, amigos.